Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Graduate Guide. Today we have João Simões with us, who is the co-founder and CEO of Genesis. He has a lot of crypto and Web3 expertise. I'm very happy to have him on. Hi, João.
Hello, hello.
How are
Very
you?
happy to be here today.
Great. So let's start right off with your time at university. What was your outlook on careers? What were you thinking you were going to be? What were your passions back then?
Right. So first, yeah, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, so about my past and my uni years, like what I decided that I wanted to do since day one is that I wanted to focus on like real experiences, right? So I wanted to make sure that I was not only book smart, but like life smart, so to speak, right? And what I decided to do since the beginning is I applied for a bachelor that will allow me to do a lot of traveling and a lot of to have a lot of international experience. So I did my bachelor of 3 years in three different countries. So 1 year in Portugal, the second year I applied for Erasmus in Berlin in Germany, and I extended actually for a little bit, and then I actually got a scholarship to go to LSE to do my last year. So I finished up and graduated at LSE in my year 3. And with this, I was like fortunate enough to travel in 3 years through three different countries and gain experience from three different cultures, so to speak, right? And this at an early age, really, I think it really shapes a lot the way you see things, the way you learn from different people, different cultures. For example, the university in Portugal is very theoretical, very old school, because, well, we are an old school country, very similar to England, I would say. In Berlin, I would say it's a bit more relaxed and more hands-on. And in London, well, it's hard, right? And LSE is hard. You know that LSE is extra hard. And I remember to have one teacher of mine that every time that we had like exams or presentations, like we need to wear a suit and tie to do our presentations, you know. And that I think that it's something that really shapes you from right off the bat from the early years, right? And in terms of career, so I've been like doing trading and working with finance like since way back then. Like I started to have a trading I will say not say license because it's not a license, but I applied for like do trading online and in banks since I have 18 years old. So I do this even before college. So when I went to college, I already kind of knew who I was already. So it was, I would say, a bit easier for me to choose a career path or to know exactly what I wanted to do and what I want to be, I guess.
And can you explain a bit more what exact trading you did and how that linked with the crypto space?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I was doing just like normal trading, like stocks and ETFs. And I also liked a lot commodities, like gold, silver, and all that. And the shift from that to crypto, it like I discovered crypto by a chance, really. So because so crypto is first is very new, right? So it's only here since a couple of years almost, right? And I discovered crypto because I was using a lot PayPal to do some international transfers, and at the time I did a music label with some friends, and I was doing like some international shopping and like sending CDs and LPs like across the world, and I get money via PayPal. And so I used PayPal since the early years, and I started looking at, I discovered a forum called Bitcoin Talk. And when I discovered this, I started looking at what is Bitcoin and what is this about cryptocurrencies or what is this thing about, right? So, and when I discovered that, I started talking with family and friends, like what they think about this, you know, because this seems crazy. Seems like a new startup. Is this a new startup? Is this a new way of doing payments? Is this a payment company? So for me, all these questions were like, I needed answers, right? So I was in this forum every day, like looking at answers and talking with people. And so at this time, and this I'm talking about like 2013, like almost 10 years ago, well, more than 10 years ago now. And there was only BTC, right? Bitcoin, like all these cryptocurrencies, plural, didn't exist back then. There was no Ethereum, nothing, you know. So it was BTC, and then it was like Litecoin, but all the others came after. So, and when I look at this, for example, my father, he works in the Bank of Portugal. He's a banker, and I asked him like, "What do you think about this?" And he said like, "Oh, it seems like a payments company, and maybe it's nothing, right? Maybe it's a scam, you know." And that's plausible. That's normal. And I asked around friends, and everyone's like, "Ah, I don't know. Like maybe that's just a startup that's going to die in a few years, right?" But I decided that I wanted to know more and that I was curious about it, right? So, and then right when I got into my first year of college, I started to talk about this to everyone I knew, you know, like to everyone, like, have you look at this? Have you look at this BTC thing? Have you look at this BTC thing? And everyone's like, that's crazy. Like, I don't know why you care about that. But I just cared a lot. So I decided to do like all my first papers in university were about Bitcoin. All my first like research papers, work, whatever, it was all about Bitcoin. Until one day that a friend of mine from uni came to me and said like, maybe we should do a company around this, you know. And that's when like, so I already like had everything prepared in my own mind, like in terms of research about what I wanted to do, but I needed that final push, you know, to have like a kind of a co-founder or something that said like, let's do something, you know. And me and my friend and a couple, we recruited more people, and we started the company with like 8 people right off the bat, you know. So that's how it started.
And so you are kind of known, or you introduced yourself to me as being one of the first Bitcoin miners of Portugal,
Correct.
which is connected to your first company.
Correct.
So can you explain more, what does it mean to be a Bitcoin miner, and
Correct.
what was the concept of your first startup?
Yeah, of course. So for me to explain that, I have to explain what is BTC and what is mining. So in crypto, in traditional finance terms, a bank, when you transfer money from person A to B, you go, for example, to your bank, you say, I want to do a transfer. This goes to the bank APY, and they have the checks to see who are you, who is the person B, to see if this is a legal transaction, how to do it, all the software requirements, etc., right? And then your money is approved if everything is correct and goes to person B. In crypto, because it's decentralized and there is no central bank, that system doesn't exist. So the need for an authenticator of transactions is needed in crypto, and these are the miners. So a miner is simply an entity, or in this case, like a computer, is a software that is in the middle of the transaction. So you have person A, in this case, wallet A, which is the account, and you want to transfer BTC to person B. When you transfer, you need a middle entity that authenticates and that says, yes, person A exists, person B exists, this is approved, and the money is approved to go to account B. And that is a miner. So what I did, in a sense, was like opening a bank, a crypto bank, you know. So we ran, we had 3 data centers. Like we started, of course, in the garage, from garage data center 1, then 2, then 3. And what we ran was really like banking software for crypto. So as a miner, you authenticate transactions, and every time you authenticate transactions, you get a fee. Exactly as when you transfer money in a bank, they charge you a fee. That's the same thing in crypto. When you exchange money, there is a fee to be charged from the miner. They authenticate, and the money goes to person B.
And because you were the first one doing that in Portugal, and all of your like environment, like other students were like, "Ah, it's a scam," or what is Bitcoin? Like, how did it feel to like do it?
That is interesting. Like I think that the majority of people really didn't understand what I was doing. Like not even my family understand like what I was doing. They thought it was just like a thing, you know, like no one really cared much, I would say. But I think that at the time it felt that like I was living that very intensely, right? So I can tell you that we mined between 200 to 300 BTC during all the period that we were doing the company. And this at today's money is more than 15 million. And having all the access to this kind of cash since when I was like 20 years old is absurd. At the time, this was a couple thousand. Today, it's 15 million, you know? And like, I think that it was just like fun and thrilling to do that, to really make things happening, to work with people that you know, to get clients, to like, all that startup things that we know very well nowadays. I feel that 10 years ago, to have a startup is something very different from today, right? And now you know that, oh, there is the VCs, and then you go to the VCs and you get your cash flow, and then you have like all these steps. At the time, I didn't went to any VC. I just went to family and friends. We got the first money for the first machines. We bought them, and there we go. You know, like we find a place. We just did some math on the calculations to calculate the electricity that we needed, put there, and there you go. You know, like
Completely bootstrapped.
completely bootstrapped, completely like the craziest crazy. You know, like literally like garage company to 3 data centers. You know. But I actually wanted to share a story that I also shared on my previous podcast video in Portugal that is in Portuguese. So I wanted to share in English because I think it's such a funny story. So to get these machines, like again, this is the early days, and to get these machines that no one is producing, it was hard. So because again, I was already very familiar with PayPal and I use it a lot. I started looking online like who is producing these first machines because well I'm not an hardware engineer. I cannot actually produce the machine itself, and probably to find an engineer to produce this, I don't know where to find it, you know. So I needed to find someone that can produce this, and I knew that one of the first company that was actually at the time starting to produce BTC validators, hardware validator machines, were in Shenzhen, China. And I search online a lot, and I actually find one of the lead engineers of a company called Antminer and Bitmine in China. Today is literally probably $1 trillion company, and at the time was again 2 or 3 guys in a in a garage in China, right? And I contact this guy via Facebook, literally writing in Google Translator to Chinese, and to sending to him like, hey, do you have any ASICs? With ASICs is a specific machine for BTC. Do you have any ASICs to sell? And say like, yeah, like if you want, each one is like 5K. You send the money via PayPal. I can send you to Portugal. And I was like, okay, fair enough. And now that I'm looking at back, I'm like, did I send 5K to a random guy in the internet? That it's insane, right? It's insane. But at the time I was like, this sounds like an amazing plan. Let's do it. I got the money from friends and family. I got one external investor at the time. Got the money. We sent him for 2 machines, and we sent it. And we waited. And at the time I was like, well, I was scammed for 5K. And probably we are going to lose all our money, right? And out of a sudden, I receive a letter from customs in Portugal saying, hey, you have 2 big boxes waiting for you from China, and we think that it's a bomb, and we need you here, otherwise the police will come to your house and take you. I'm like, what the hell is this, right? So I went to customs with one of my colleagues of the company, and I arrived there, and there is like literally like 2 or 3 policemen waiting for me to escort me to a room. And they say like, "Are you João?" I'm like, "Yes." Okay, so we have a very shady package from China with your name on it, and we don't know what it's inside, and no one knows what's that. So we want you to explain what's there. And I went there, and I saw, and there actually was there the computer machines that I needed. And they said like, can you explain what is this? Because this looks like a bomb. And actually, it looks, because it's like a server, a computer server full of wires, and it's complete, like it's not a beautiful computer, you know. It's like it's a server, it's a assembly of several green called PCEs, is that like the plaques with the chips on it and connected with wires, and that's it. It's like a very basic tech thing, right? And they look at it and they say like, what is this? And I was like, well, this is a computer server that is meant to run calculations and to authenticate Bitcoin transactions. And look at me. Bit what? Bitcoin transactions. I don't know what that is. Well, in a simple terms, this is a computer. And this was the funniest thing of all. So I had like one very old lady, those like secretary ladies there, like looking at all this. And she looks at me and say like, young man, if this is a computer, where is the keyboard and the mouse? You know? And I look at the lady and say, lady, with all due respect, a computer doesn't need necessarily to have a mouse and a keyboard. You know, like a computer is the tower that actually makes the calculations, and the rest is just all all the details of having the computer, right? So this is just the calculations part. This is just like the tower, so to speak, like the tower to make the things happening. And they look at me like, oh, maybe, man. They talk between each other like, okay, I guess that maybe you were right. And I'm like, yeah, like
Maybe.
this is like, can you turn it on? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, can I explain him how to turn it on? Like, you need like a power source. Put the power source on, and I turn it on. And they say like, okay, it's not a bomb. You know, I told you. Like, am I dumb enough to put my name on a package containing a bomb? No, that is insane. If I wanted to be a criminal, I'll be a bit smarter than that, right? So, and with that, it was everything fine. I paid double tax. We took the machines home and we assembled it, and that's how we started with two machines after this story.
Yeah.
But yeah, like going back to the career and making here the point, like I think that you need experiences like these to grow, you know, especially like if you are a young founder and then if you are working in startups and stuff like that, you need to have these experiences and to know how to make them worth and how to actually make them. Okay, so fire alarm incident. Okay, so I was saying, so you as a young startup founder and people back home that are watching this video right now, I think that you need this kind of experience and go to sometimes a little bit like uncomfortable experiences so you can grow and you can know exactly how your product works, how you want to make it work, and how you want to really, even like me explaining to the guys in customs like what it was, like that is already experience that helps you. Like you are pitching, I was pitching to the policeman, you know, like, so it's fun, you know, it's fun, I think so.
So, like, despite these, funny incidents, you were really successful, like, in the end at a very young
Yes,
age.
so yeah, so just going very quickly. So what we did, we run a kind of like a hedge fund. So the clients could invest their money on us, and with that money, we would buy machines, and we take 20% of the yields that they get for us as a management fee, and that was it. So the client can choose to buy like 1, 2, 3 servers, whatever. We take care of all the maintenance, all the storing, everything, and we make a 20% cut on the yields, and that's it. And we ran for a couple of years very successfully, and we decided to close after a while because so you have something in BTC called the Bitcoin halving, where from a certain period of time to a period of time, normally between 4 years and 4 years, the rewards for the miners are cut in half. So this is to make sure that the supply it goes down and down and down to make the coin go up in value. So it's a supply and demand thing. And because of that, we saw all our profits being cut. This was 2016 by half, and the expenses still are there. The offices cost the same, like the AC costs the same, the electricity costs the same, and all of a sudden, all our operation is producing 50% less. And that made me think like I didn't forecast this. So we were just like swimming on money, you know, like going happy. I thought about quitting university, you know, like we were making good money at the time, very good money. And I'm glad that I didn't quit university, by the way. So, and out of a sudden we see our profits cut in half, and I was like, damn, I didn't forecast for this. Like me as a founder and CEO of BitMasters, like probably I should have known about this way before, and that was there. The information was there, so I didn't read it. So it was 100% my fault, right? So, and with that, we saw like, okay, we can still, because BTC keeps increasing in price, so we can still make some good money, right? But with the years going by, again, electricity in Portugal is very expensive. Well, in Europe in general, I guess, but yeah, in Portugal, expensive. Taxes, like on the the rentals and the electricity and all that. And you have also one thing in BTC called Bitcoin, called the mining difficulty, which is the more miners you have in the market, the rewards are less and less. Why? Because there is a limited supply of transactions, right? And if there is more banks to authenticate a transaction, each bank makes less and less money by authenticating. And at the time, this was a time where China opened up a lot of big mining operations. So I was literally going against billion-dollar operations in China. So I was liquidated, like it was not possible to make money anymore. So I was squeezed and squeezed and squeezed until I was not making way more money. And what I did was I called up all my investors and said that, well, we will stop operations. They already made money. So we promised to all our investors that they will triple their money. Some triple, some double, some made 1x, some it was like neutral, but I wanted to make sure that no one lost money. So we stopped in 2017 we stopped, we sold everything, get rid of the offices, and I moved on with my life after that. And in the beginning was that feeling of like, oh, I closed my company, like feel like kind of angry, I was like, oh, I don't want to return to crypto anymore, like this is bullshit, like I don't like this. And this was the time where I went to London and I started working more like traditional finance and all that for a while. But yeah, it's funny how things turn.
Yeah. So you closed your company in 2016 and
2017,
2017, and obviously you were still like a young person in
Of course.
university. And before you mentioned like you did consider quitting university at some
Yeah.
point, which is I think the archetype of
It is.
a young successful founder,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, I have no value. I see no value in academia. Let
Exactly.
me quit. So, and you actually went on to do a master's, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
what value did you see left in academia at that time? Like, what did it give you, and why did you then even decide to do more?
Well, that is a very, very good question. So after London, so I learned a lot at LSE. I think the LSE, and I don't want to make here like a big advertisement, but it's like one of the best schools out there, right? That's why it's in the Financial Times as one of the best in the world. And it really like pushes you in a way that like it's not normal, right? It pushes you to the limit. And I think that is very important. And after London, I worked here. I worked in a actually very famous company called Estée Lauder. Probably everyone knows Estée Lauder. I was responsible for doing an M&A from a French company called Le Labo to Estée Lauder, and I worked in the finance department with them. Like really enjoyed it. Was like my first experience working with like luxury and luxury markets and like more like fashion markets, and I really enjoyed it because it was like a bit different from the usual corporate, more corporate stuff that I envision or I was normally more used to. And after that, I always wanted to go to the US. I always wanted to go to the US. Like I thought that because like I don't know, everything that you consume in the world, like everything is made there, right? Like Coca-Cola that you are drinking, a US brand, like probably, well, not the cars, but like there is so much stuff like McDonald's, US, all the big tech companies, US, Facebook, US, like, like except very specific brands, maybe like Samsung from Korea, or I don't know, like Nissan or Hyundai from Japan, or some very specific brands, everything is made in the US, right? So I thought to myself, like, as a capitalist myself, that I enjoy the financial markets, like I need to go there to see what's going on. So that was the time where I decided that I needed to apply for a master's in the US, and I went to UC Berkeley and to do my master's, and like it really again changed my life once again, right? Because not only I was there, and again to bring back that thing about real experience for me, like to meet with American people in the US and living in a dorm and all that in the university, and I actually have contact with real people, that actually changes everything, right? And when I was there, I noticed that there is several different things that they do that is different from here. First, everything is fast paced. Everything is really fast paced. Like they have those things that you see a lot in the movies, like the finance club, the chess club. And when I arrived there, I immediately went to all I assigned myself to all. I wanted to go to everything, right? And one thing that I noticed is I signed for 2 finance clubs in Berkeley, and this is very weird to say, but I was the only Caucasian man in the clubs. Everyone was Asian. And it was so weird because they even asked me like, "Why are you here?" You know, and I'm like, "Because I enjoy finance and I want to learn more." They were like, "Right, we are not used to have your people here." I'm like, okay, I guess." So that is actually a very funny picture. If you want, I can send it to you guys for you to post in the video if you want. Like there is like me and like all these Chinese guys and me in the center, in a picture of the club.
They put you in the center.
Yeah, and it was so funny, and I made a lot of like good friends there, and I learned a lot. And the thing is, at the university, it's very common to have like the big companies headhunting you since day one. You know, like there is like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, everyone's like there just saying like, "Wait a minute, are you doing good? Are you doing something great? Come, you know, I give you an internship, I give you this, I give you that." And I feel that in Europe is way more passive. Like I did. I wasn't headhunted by Goldman when I was at LSE. Why? Why?
You need to hunt them.
You know? Yeah,
Yeah.
I need to go to Goldman and knock on the door and say like, "Hey, I'm a very good student. This is my CV." And in Berkeley, it was the other way around. They were saying like, "You are being proactive. You are a good student. Good. Here's 6K to do an internship." Like, wow, nice. You know? So that's how it works there. And at the time, with all these things and all these things going in motion, I started thinking like, well, maybe I'm going to try to work here and to do something here, right? And I said that, well, since I'm in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley, where is a tech environment, maybe I'm going to try crypto once again, you know? Maybe I'm going to try crypto once again. So I started like knocking on doors specifically for Ethereum companies because Ethereum was really popping up a lot. So Ethereum is like, imagine a Bitcoin, but with the possibility of you to creating apps inside. So Ethereum gives you way more possibilities to build stuff that BTC doesn't allow you to build on top of. And by that I started like knocking on doors like, "Oh, I want to work in an Ethereum company." But like the interviews were not like really great and I was not feeling them until one guy came to me and said that, "João, like we have a position open in our VC, like do you want to work as a VC?" And I was like, "What is a VC?" You know? And then he's like, "Well, you want to work in like a crypto company, right?" So I'm like, "Yeah. So here I can give you the possibility of instead of working with one, work in a portfolio of 10, and you are managing 10 companies instead of one." I'm like, "That sounds really interesting."